Hey guys, new name here, and welcome back, or welcome if it's your first time seeing one of my videos. If you've been on the internet for any amount of time, you are probably aware that there are two versions of RuneScape. There's RuneScape 3, which I tend to make most of my content on, as well as old school RuneScape. I assume if you're watching this, you probably play one or the other, and are probably very passionate about which one you think is better. However, the fact that these games both share a starting point and a company that develops them means they have a lot of similar items and crossover in design. Today I wanted to go over some items that exist in both games, but I find to be more useful in RuneScape 3 than in old school RuneScape, despite having originated from the old school RuneScape era. However, before we get into that, I want to make sure to remind you guys to like and subscribe. And while you're at it, make sure to leave a comment down below of an item you think is better in whichever game and why you think that is the case. So the first item I wanted to talk about is the Gothic Staff. The Gothic Staff is probably a more iconic item on this list from RuneScape. No matter when you have played, you probably have gone to the Mage Training Arena and the Wilderness to get it, and along with the God Cape. In old school RuneScape, you unlock it by casting the Claws of Gothic spell 100 times in the Mage Training Arena, whereas in RuneScape 3 you unlock it by casting the Divine Storm spell 100 times while wielding the staff. Despite being the same item, its effects differ greatly depending on the game you are playing. In old school RuneScape, it is an early to mid-level item, where you use it to cast the spells of... In old school RuneScape, it is an early to mid-level item, where you use it to cast the Claws of Gothic spell, which has a chance to lower the target's defense by 5%. Being a level 60 staff, it's kind of more of a early to mid-level item, and I haven't really seen many old school RuneScape players use it as often as RS3 players do. I think that's because in RS3, it is a critical weapon for the magic combat style, at all levels, especially in high-level PvM, or in PvM where you're fighting a boss that you splash against a lot. In RuneScape 3, it's used for its special attack, which is also called the Claws of Gothics, that when it hits is guaranteed to lower the target's defense by 5%. In this version of RuneScape, lowering the defense is super important, as it really brings down the chance of splashing against monsters. What really pushes it over the edge, though, is the ability to use it in the Essence of Finality, allowing you to use a spec with a weapon of a much higher tier, so you get a much better chance of it hitting. This makes it super important and super useful throughout all tiers of combat in RuneScape 3, unlike in old school RuneScape. The next item that I think is more useful in RuneScape 3 is actually weapon poison. While it is more iconic in old school RuneScape, especially on the Dragon Dagger, that's really all it's used for, is daggers and ranged weapons, mostly arrows. Whereas in RuneScape 3, it is a potion that when you drink it gives an effect where all attacks, no matter the combat style, have a chance to apply poison damage. This makes it much more versatile when you are not limited by the type of weapon or the combat style. We also have a higher tier going up to weapon poison plus plus plus, and the damage can also be boosted with items such as Cinderbane gloves and incense sticks, making your poison damage do even more right out of the gate. The final item is actually going to be more of a group of items, being clue scroll reward items. Now, overall, the items on old school RuneScape for clue scrolls are not worth as much, except for a few of the big ticket items such as third age gear or ranger boots. However, really the rest of the items tend to be at alch value, as there's really no other use for them, meaning you have to do tons of clue scrolls to get the big ticket item if you want to make money. However, in RuneScape 3, it tends to be very much of a better loot overall, as the items are tied to the value of fortunate components, which are used for tons of different jewelry. But don't get me wrong, we still have our big ticket items, such as third age still, but also the different dyes that allow you to change the color of your high level gear. This makes clue scroll rewards, in my opinion, more useful in RuneScape 3 than in old school RuneScape. That's my really short list, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Do you think there's some items that I got wrong on this list? Why do you think that there's more use for them in an old school RuneScape versus RuneScape 3? Or do you think there are items that I should have included on this list? Anyways,